Sorry, I just need to vent. About 1.5 months ago, I broke up with my ex after we had been together for about 9 months. Basically because his controlling behavior made me feel too confined and uncomfortable. But apparently he can't accept it. Since the breakup, I have been bombarded with messages, voice messages, emails, and phone calls. I had to block him everywhere only to be harassed again from newly created accounts, sometimes pretending to be someone else. I live in a village with less than 2,000 people and am active in local clubs. He comes from a town of about 20,000 people, about 20 minutes away. 3 weeks ago, during a public event with my club, he was there and, apart from a brief comment that I should smile more, left me alone. However, my friends later told me that he had been following and staring at me the entire time. Okay, somewhat understandable since it was still pretty fresh. Last weekend we had a big tent festival, editor's note, like a mini Oktoberfest, that lasted the whole weekend where I was a waitress. He was there too and completely drunk. Both days. On Saturday we even had a brief chat, and I felt like he was doing better, but that was apparently just a front. Throughout the day, he kept his eye on me and followed me. He also only wanted to order drinks from me, which annoyed me, and I told him to leave me alone and go to someone else. When all his friends wanted to leave, he absolutely refused to go with them. I begged him to leave and he promised me he would, but in the end, he stayed and continued to follow me even after my shift ended. I had been really looking forward to the festival, but because of him, I had to go home early because I felt so uncomfortable. Sunday was even worse. He was there alone and got drunk by himself. He didn't speak to me during the day, but he sent me 3 letters through other servers. I didn't read them. Several people asked me who the creepy guy sitting alone at the table staring at me was. I was incredibly embarrassed. On Sunday evening, there were only about 20 people left, and we were all having a last drink. When I went outside to the restroom trailer, he secretly followed me and tried to corner me. Fortunately, 2 of my friends noticed and followed us, and I fled back inside while they persuaded him to go home. I am incredibly grateful to them because I don't know what he would have done otherwise. Maybe he really just wanted to talk, but he's lied to me so many times now that I can't be sure. I'm usually someone who tries to get along with everyone, and that includes ex-partners. I would have been open to at least a friendly relationship with him, but the way he's behaved so far makes that impossible. The thought of ever getting involved with another man disgusts me. I used to enjoy meeting new people and having sex, but now I feel tainted and paranoid. I don't dare going out alone anymore. I have trouble sleeping and double lock all the doors at night. I'm afraid that if he gets drunk again, he'll come up with some stupid idea and show up at my house. He makes me feel like he's unpredictable because he constantly lies and twists things. At the same time, I feel like this is all coldly calculated and that he's manipulating everyone around him. For example, he told my best friend he actually didn't want to come to the festival, and that it was his friends who wanted him to come. His friends, however, told me he was the one who pushed everyone to come. If I lived in the city, I would seriously consider moving. But I have my roots here in this village. I find it so unfair that I have to deal with this. The whole thing is stressing me out so much that I have my first cold sore outbreak in 5 years. I have cried more in the last month than I did all of last year because I am so emotionally drained. I've already talked to his friends about it, but they all just say it will get better. I don't think they understand how extreme his behavior is. My best friend has called him several times to explain that he should leave me alone. But it always sounds like my ex just sees this as temporary. Few long post. As I said, I just wanted to vent. I'm sure some of you have had similar experiences. Hugs to you, it's really not a good feeling. I'm open to advice. 3 weeks later. I already did all the other social media. But Reddit is the only one where I can't set my account to private. Sure, I can block and report all the accounts he uses to pretend to be someone else and message me. But he can still see all my submissions if he simply creates another account. I can't be myself anymore on this platform. I realize that in the grand scheme of things this is such a minor issue and that it's just fake internet points and that so many people on this sub have way worse problems than I do right now with this, but I'm still saddened. It's not fair that I have to go out of my way and change how I live and do things because someone else won't stop harassing me. It's not fair. I've learned my lesson. Don't trust anyone to not go out of his way to make your life miserable. The worst thing is that in his head he's probably completely justified in doing nothing wrong. I just don't understand how he doesn't understand that he's scaring me. Does he think I'll get over it and fall back in love with him? How, when there's no trust anymore? How, when I flinch whenever someone mentions his name? How, when I have insomnia because I'm scared he could break in and kill me because IDFK what even goes on in his head? Will this obsession spiral until he's convinced himself that if he can't have me no one can? No, the actual worst thing is the shell of myself I've become. How fucking paranoid I've become. Was that his car that I saw driving around? Was this message from him? Or was it really just a coincidence that a brand new account messaged me? Is he just pretending to be understanding, or will he really leave me alone this time he said it? I feel like I'm going crazy, like I'm overdramatic. I'm constantly doubting myself. I cry literally every day from the stress. I don't enjoy the things anymore that I used to love. Going out gives me anxiety because he could be there. Acting all friendly with our mutual acquaintances, pretending he didn't deliberately go there on the odd chance I'd be there too. I'm having suicidal thoughts and thoughts about self-harm that I haven't had in 5 years. I can't help but feel angry that he's infiltrating every part of my life, even through my friends and Reddit. Even if he lets off at some point, I feel like I can never go back to my old self. I'm broken. I'll be logging off now from this account that I've had since 2017. I can't bring myself to delete it. I've helped people with it and received help with it. I've moderated treasured communities with it. I've made friends with it. I've learned a lot with it, and I've also used it for shits and giggles. And now I have to leave it. I'm angry. I'm scared. More than anything, I'm tired. 3 months later. Hi everyone. Maybe some of you remember my post from a few months ago where I vented about how my ex-boyfriend just wouldn't leave me alone and was harassing me both online and in real life. Your comments on that post really woke me up. You told me that his behavior likely already fell under stalking, and that I should document everything in detail and get help as soon as possible. I wrote everything down that same day, and the nice lady from the Violence Protection Center later praised me several times for how well I had documented everything. So thanks for the tip, lol. Unfortunately, it still took me a while after the post to take legal action, partly because I still hoped that he might eventually back off, and partly because I was a bit apprehensive about taking such a step. Going to court makes you face the reality of the situation. But in the end, I had no other choice. I don't want to go into too much detail about the circumstances, so I'll get to the point. We were able to obtain a restraining order. I've decided not to file charges for now. I don't want to deal with this more than absolutely necessary, and the restraining order alone was already a huge amount of work. A criminal case would be even more demanding. By the way, a police warning, which some of you mentioned under my original post, doesn't exist in Austria. So, just in case anyone else from Austria is in a similar situation, the Violence Protection Center is there for cases of violence and harassment like this. They're government-funded and have offices in every federal state. The phone counseling and the subsequent support with the legal steps were great. The court issued the order very quickly after my application, within just a few days, which surprised me given the summer lull. Unfortunately, I can't use this account as my main account anymore, because my stalker knows it. So if anyone stumbles across this in the future, here's a little shout out to the team at r/digital_streetwork. Editor's note. A German project that provides support on digital platforms. They're there to talk when you need someone and are happy to help and advise. In Austria, besides the violence protection centers, there are also other support services. Even though this issue is hopefully over now, I'm still not feeling completely okay. I still have sleep problems, especially nightmares, and particularly when I sleep alone. I can't leave the house alone without worrying that he might suddenly show up. Every walk from the office to the parking lot is a small challenge, and I'm constantly looking over my shoulder in public. A voice in my head tells me that my friends might be tired of talking about all of this, even though they assure me they're not. I'm paranoid and anxious, and I've lost trust in strangers, especially men. When I meet someone new, I feel like I have to disclose this baggage as a disclaimer right away. I can't get into a serious relationship because first, I don't want to burden anyone with my mental state, second, because I'm scared my stalker might find out and hurt a new partner, and third, because I'm incredibly paranoid and see even small things that never used to bother me as red flags that someone might be like him. I wish I could go back to that innocent bubble where people who are broken like this didn't exist. Even if that made me naive, I was happier. I wish I could get back my openness and basic trust in other people. I liked myself more back then. I'm working on myself, of course, and trying to do things I used to enjoy, and surrounding myself with people who are good for me. But I think it will still take a while before I'm back to where I was before all this happened. Phew, another long text. Sending you all a big hug. Especially to those who commented on my original post. If you didn't save my life, at the very least you saved me from a lot of headaches. Edit. I just realized that the end of my post sounds rather negative. I just want to add that, overall, I'm definitely doing better than I was when the harassment was at its worst. Since the restraining order, I feel more free, and the issues with falling asleep and sleeping through the night have mostly gone away. I have a strong network of friends and I'm looking forward to the future with a positive outlook. I'm sure the biggest factor is simply time. Reading books on the topic certainly helps, but just the few weeks of not hearing from him have made me feel less stressed. Things will get better.